as it is. This time is very odd. That is why it is very difficult to maintain the regularity. Okay. Tomorrow I will be in the train going to Puri. But I hope there will be connection. So we can start. We can see the result afterwards. We'll read from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9. Raja Vidya, the king of knowledge. Vidya means knowledge, Raja means king. Raja is king of knowledge, means topmost knowledge. Also in Sanskrit, something called Raja Guhya, most sacred knowledge. Why? The soul, the knowledge of soul actually sacred. And knowledge of super soul in the same place is more sacred. And the super soul is the Supreme Person Godhead. We have loving relationship with him, we serve him. That is most sacred. Gujyatam. That is Raja Gujya. Sri Krishna is explaining. Sri Bhagavan Vacha idam tute gujyatamam pravakshami anushya. Jnanam vijnana shaitam jat gatta mokshasya ashubha. Idam, Sri Bhagavan Vacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, idam, this, to, but, te, unto, guya tamam, the most confidential, pravakshami, I am speaking, onushyabe, non-envious. This is very important. Will you open your heart to an envious person? No. So, Krishna said in the 4th chapter, Bhakto Ashime Shakachit, friend and devotee. At least, if you are not devotee and friend, at least should not be envious. Anushyavi. Jnanam, knowledge. Vijnana Shahitam, that knowledge with realization. Realize, please. Jat with gatta, knowing. Mokshashe, you will be released. Ashubha, from this miserable material existence. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. Krishna says, I will give you the knowledge with realization. Jnana Vijnana Shakti. What is the use of that knowledge? Relieved of all miseries. Miseries is enough, but Prabhupada want to make it clear. Miseries of material existence. Why? Like, here not telling about miseries like there is what is called poverty, unemployment. They're not telling about all these small miseries. Big miseries, material existence. Free from birth. This type of problem. As a devotee hears more and more about the Supreme Law, he becomes enlightened. This hearing process is recommended in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The messages of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are full of potencies, and these potencies can be realized if topics regarding the Supreme Godhead are discussed amongst devotees. This cannot be achieved by the association of mental speculators or academic scholars, for it is realized knowledge. The devotees are constantly engaged in the Supreme Lord's service. The Lord understands the mentality and sincerity of the particular living entity who is engaged in Krishna consciousness and gives him the intelligence to understand the science of Krishna in the association of devotees. Discussion of Krishna is very important. And if a fortunate person has such association and tries to assimilate the knowledge, then he will surely make advancement toward spiritual realization. Lord Krishna, in order to encourage Arjuna to higher and higher elevation in his potent service, describes in this 9th chapter matters more confidential than any he has already disclosed. The very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter, is more or less an introduction to the rest of the book. The second and third chapters, the spiritual knowledge described, is called confidential. Guhya. I'm not this soul. I'm not this body, I'm soul. Topics discussed in 7th and 8th chapter are specifically related to devotional service. And because they being enlightened in Krishna consciousness, they are called more confidential. But the matters which are described in 9th chapter deal with unalloyed pure devotion. So, not only most confidential, 7th and 8th chapter is especially related to the devotional service. Devotional service. But whatever devotional service, unalloyed, pure devotion. Therefore, this is called most confidential. One who is situated in most confidential knowledge of Krishna is naturally transcendental. He therefore has no material pangs, although he is in the material world. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said that although one who has a sincere desire to render loving service to the Supreme Lord is situated in the conditional state of material existence, he is to be considered liberated. Similarly, we shall find in the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, that anyone who is engaged in that way is a liberated person. Now, this first verse has a specific significance. The word idam jnanam, this knowledge, refer to pure devotional service, which consists of 9 different activities: hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping, praying, obeying, maintaining friendship, and surrendering everything. By the practice of these 9 elements of devotional service, one is elevated to spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness. When one's heart is thus cleared of material contamination, one can understand the science of Krishna. Simply to understand that a living entity is not material is not sufficient. Try to understand this point. Simply to understand that a living entity is not material is also not sufficient. Because when Hiranyakashipu's elder brother died, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu was consoling his elder brother's wife. About why it is not his body, his soul. So Hiranyakashipu had that knowledge, but that knowledge is not sufficient. That may be the beginning of his spiritual realization. But one should recognize the difference between the activities of the body and the spiritual activities of one who understands that he is not the body. Like Mayavadis, impersonalists. They also understand we are not this body. But what is the use? In the beginning, we can tell spiritualist, but that is not the ultimate goal of life. In the 7th chapter, we have already discussed the opulent potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his different energies, the inferior and superior natures, and all this material manifestation. Now in chapter 9, the glories of the Lord will be further delineated. The Sanskrit of Anushuyabe. Oshua means enviousness. Oshua, envious. Anushuyabe, non-envious. The Sanskrit of Anushuyabe is, this verse is also very significant. Generally, the commentators, even if they are highly scholarly, are all envious of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the most erudite scholars write on Bhagavad Gita very inaccurately because they are envious of Krishna. Either commentaries, because they are envious of Krishna, their commentaries are useless. By their commentary, they don't want to establish Krishna. They want to become famous than Krishna. That is the sign they are envious. The commentaries given by devotee of the law are bona fide. No one can explain Bhagavad Gita or give perfect knowledge of Krishna if he is envious. One who criticizes the character of Krishna without knowing him is a fool. So, such commentaries should be very carefully avoided. For one who understands that Krishna is the Supreme Personal Godhead, the pure and transcendental personality, these chapters will be very beneficial. Text 2. Very important verse. Symptom of pure devotion. Rajavidya Rajagujjang Pavitram Idamuttama Pratyaksha Avagamam Dharmam Shushukam Kartumam. Not only sign is what the importance of practicing devotional service. This knowledge, Rajavidya, the king of education. Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. Why this knowledge? King of pure knowledge? Like, if by one stone, even one stone, you can buy 1 quintal rice. And another stone, you can buy 1 quintal silver. And another stone, you can buy 1 quintal gold. Which is most costly? In the same way, who is most costly person? Krishna. Through love of Krishna, you can buy Krishna. So, the love of Godhead, this is the supreme knowledge. That is devotional life service is the supreme. That is why this devotional service is called Rajavidya, the king of education. And Rajagujja, king, the king of confidential knowledge. We have already explained why. Gujja means confidential. More confidential, most confidential. Confidential, we are soul. Soul and super soul remains in the body, more confidential. And we have to serve him, devotional service, most confidential, and most confidential, pure devotional service. That's it. Prabhupada does not given that type of terminology, most confidential. He just most confidential. Pavitram, the purest. Whatever pure, the knowledge, Bhagavad Gita in 4th chapter says, nothing in this world is more pure than knowledge. Nahi gyanena sadisha pavitramiha vidyate. Like we have so many contamination in our heart. Just by arising knowledge, all that thing will eliminate. That means how much pure this knowledge. And this knowledge is related to loving devotional service. So that means that devotional is Pavitram, the purest. Idam. Idam means this devotional service. Not only this, Uttamam, transcendental. Who was also another place explain that Uttamam means Udgata Tama. Udgata means coming up. Like Udvid. Udvid, coming up from ground. Udgata, coming up. Tama, from darkness. That is Uttama. Bhakti Thakur wrote, Shikhaya Sharanagati Karohi Uttam. What is Uttam? Loving service. Shikhaya Sharanagati Karohi Uttam. If we learn how to surrender to Krishna, then we will become Uttam. Prataksha Avagamam. Prataksha. By direct experience, Avagamam understood. Dharma, the principle of religion. Dharma, the principle of religion. Shushukam, very happy. Kortum, to execute. Abhayam, everlasting. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of realization. Religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. The joyfully performed means like we are doing job. 1 month job, then you get salary. It is not joyfully performed. But in devotion, when you are eating prasad, that is devotion. Joyful. When you are dancing for Krishna, even after dancing you will get enjoyment. But dancing for Krishna, that time enjoy. This service actually, this when you do that time it's joy, not after. Joyfully performed. The chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called the King of Education because it is the essence of all doctrines and philosophies explained before. Among the principal philosophers in India are Gautam, Konat, Kapil, Yajnavalkya, Shandilya, and Vaishyana. And finally, there is Vyasdev. Everybody has different opinion. Gautam, logician. Konat, atomic philosophy. Kapil, Shankar philosophy. Some Nastika philosophy. Jaimini, yes. Karma Mimamsa. Work is religion. But last conclusion, finally there is Vyasdev. He is another, the author of the Vedanta Sutra. So there is no dearth of knowledge in the field of philosophy or transcendental knowledge. Now the Lord says that this 9th chapter is the king of all such knowledge. Now the Lord says that this 9th chapter is the king of all such knowledge, Raja Vidya. The essence of all knowledge that can be derived from the study of the Vedas and different kinds of philosophy. It is the most confidential because confidential or transcendental knowledge involves understanding the difference between the soul and the body. And the king of all conditional knowledge, the king of all confidential knowledge culminates in devotional service. Generally, people are not educated in this confidential knowledge. They are educated in external knowledge. As far as ordinary education is concerned, people are involved with so many departments: politics, sociology, physics, chemistry, mathematics, astronomy, engineering, etc. There are so many departments of knowledge all over the world and many huge universities. But there is, unfortunately, no university or educational institution where the science of spirit soul is instructed. Yet the soul is the most important part of the body. Without the presence of the soul, the body has no value. Still, people are placing great stress on the body necessities of life, not caring for the vital soul. This is also explained in second chapter. This is called kripana. What is kripan means? Miser. Miser means those who don't know the use of the valuable object. We are soul. With the soul, we are doing material things. We don't want the use of the soul. With the soul, we can laugh, super soul, we can go back to Godhead. We don't know the use of this valuable thing. That is why they are called Maija, Kripana. The Bhagavad Gita, especially from the second chapter on, stresses the importance of the soul. In the very beginning, the Lord says that this body is perishable and the soul is not perishable. Antavatta ime deha. Ime deha, this body is antavat. Antavat means who has end. But nityasya, eternal, ukta, it is said, ukta. Sharirina. Sharirina means owner of the body. Sharir means body. Sharirina means owner of the body. But Sharirina means soul. So Krishna is so intelligent, I call it, so perfect teacher. He is not directly telling about soul. He is telling, Sharir, owner of the Sharir, Shariri. So as you know, there is Sharir, so there is Shariri. In the same way, as you know, Deho, the owner of the Deho is called Dehi. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is telling Dehi and Shariri, not using the term soul. Nowadays, rascal people don't want to listen about the religion. They're fond of spirituality. That is why if we give class, science and religion, people cannot digest. If you tell science and spirituality, oh, it is a very nice topic. So the way they want to understand, we should explain in that way. So Krishna knows that everybody will not accept Atma or soul. So better they will everybody accept body, Shari and Shariri, Deho and Dehi. In the very beginning, the Lord says that this body is perishable and the soul is not perishable. Antavatti me deha, this deha. He is calling deho and nityasya ukta sharirina. Sharirina, the owner of the sharir body, nityasya ukta, it is said that is eternal. That is a confidential part of knowledge. Yoga. Simply knowing that the spirit soul is different from this body and that its nature is immutable, indestructible, and eternal. There is not an. Yes, good. It's immutable, indestructible, and eternal. But that gives no positive information about the soul. Like in your chemistry laboratory, given a solution. What is this? You give litmus. Oh, it is not acid, means alcohol. Test another. There is no sodium. Give another test. No, there is no carbon. There is no sulfur. What is this then? Tell something. What is this? You can say, oh, it is not this, it is not this. Sometimes people are under the impression that the soul is different from the body, and that when the body is finished or one is liberated from the body, the soul remains in a void and becomes impersonal. But actually, that is not the fact. Some people know, oh, it is soul is like that, but after some time it will become void, impersonal. Is this knowledge? No. How can the soul, which is so active within this body, be inactive after being liberated from the body? It is always active. If it is eternal, then it is eternally active. And its activities in the spiritual kingdom are the most confidential part of spiritual knowledge. These activities of the spirit soul are therefore indicated here as constituting the king of all knowledge, the most confidential part of all knowledge. This knowledge is the purest from all activities, as explained in Vedic literature. In the Padma Puran, man's sinful activities have been analyzed, are shown to be the fruits, shown to be the results of sin after sin. In Padma Puran, also in Prabhupada explains in Nectar of Devotion, the first chapter, Klesha Gni, how devotional service nullifies all the sin. What is the root cause of sin? The root cause of sin. What is the root cause of suffering? Sin. What is the root cause of sin? Ignorance. So Padma Puran said man's sinful acts have been analyzed and shown to be the result of a sinful sin after sin. Those who are engaged in fruitive activities are entangled in different stages from forms of the sinful actions. There are different stages of sinful actions. In Sanskrit, kut, vish, phalanmukh. For instance, when the seed of a particular tree is sown, the tree does not appear immediately to grow. It takes some time. It is first a small sprouting plant, then it assumes the form of a tree, then it flowers and bears fruit, and when it is complete, the flowers and fruits are enjoyed by the persons who have shown seed of the tree. Similarly, a man performs a sinful act, and like a seed, it takes time to fructify. Phalanmukham. There are different stages. The sinful actions may have already stopped within the individual, but the result or fruit of that sinful action is still to be suffered. I was a thief, I am not stealing now, but I have stolen, so I have to suffer. There are sins which are still in the form of a seed, and there are others which are already fructified and are giving us fruit, which we are experiencing as distress and pain. Follow me. Low born, ugly, uneducated. They are suffering for that, for past karmas. And some desire, they are not doing sinful activity. Desire is there. Yes, if I get some chance, I'll do this. So there are different stages of sinful activity. But pure devotion is so nice, he'll uproot everything. That verse is there. Aparar the Phalang Papam is there. That verse actually explained for which part? This is Pavitram, so pure. nullifies it. So this purport is very big, not only, it's the biggest purport of the whole Bhagavad Gita. This second verse of ninth chapter. So it will take one more day. Tomorrow will and from Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada. Bhagavad Gita, it is. Go to